welcome back to my channel. My name's Kizzy and today I have a little bit of a different video for you guys, as today I'm going to be discussing my first time doing NaNoWriMo. So I know NaNoWriMo takes place in November and it is February now, so I'm a little bit late doing this, but I thought better late than never, and it would be good just for me to look back on when I do it again, hopefully this year, and just kind of think about how it was and everything like that. So I kind of have a little setup for the video, so I'm just going to talk about what it is in case you don't know. Then I'm going to talk about how it went for me and why I did it, and then what I learned from it as an experience on the whole. So I hope you enjoy this. I know it's not directly bookish related because it's writing instead of reading, but I do enjoy writing and writing is quite a big part of what I do and why I like reading as well. So I thought I'd share it for you. So NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month and it takes place in November of every year. They do have other ones called Camp NaNoWriMo, which I think are in April and June maybe, and you can do different things instead of novels if that's something that you wanted to do. And the goal is to write 50,000 words within 30 days, and that is because the people that set this up, however long ago they set it up, 50,000 words was the average number of the books on their shelf. So the idea was originally to write a novel within 1 month. Obviously that depends on what genre you're reading a lot now, because if you're trying to write a fantasy, it's very difficult to do that in 50,000 words, and they tend to be like on average like 100,000 words, so you're probably going to write about half a novel in that month. But still, that's a lot of words and it's a challenge for anyone. So the main reason I wanted to get into it or do it was because, one, it sounds cool. It so sounds cool to say, oh, I wrote 50,000 words in 1 month. You know, there's a lot of like prestige around it, and being able to say that you completed NaNoWriMo is quite impressive. I think anyway. I was very impressed when anyone else has said that they've done that. Even more so now that I've done it, because it is hard, but more on that later. So that's the first reason. The second reason is because I like writing. I want to be a writer, or write. You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to be successful to be a writer, obviously everyone can write, but it would be great to publish a novel. That's just, I think it would be cool. And I am not very good at it. So I've only managed to write, I think my largest kind of manuscript I've ever written before then was 10,000 words, and then I kind of either got bored of the idea, didn't think the idea was good enough, so I abandoned it, or hadn't really fleshed out an idea enough to write 50,000 words. So I just kind of dropped it off to the side and didn't pursue it anymore. So this was kind of a good chance for me to force myself to write that 50,000 words and just get it done. And then the third reason is because you got a really cool t-shirt, and I don't have that with me, but if you complete it you get like NaNoWriMo winner t-shirt. You do have to buy it, but it was cool, so I wanted that t-shirt. But there you go. That's my main reason for doing it. So how did it go? I am pleased to announce that I actually completed NaNoWriMo, and I think I did it in 28 days. So very happy about that, very pleased about that. So yeah, I completed it in 28 days. I got 50,000 words and I was absolutely knackered at the end of it. In November it's quite a difficult time for me anyway, because it is when I have all my assessments due, either at the beginning of the month or the end of the month, just because the way my uni terms work. They are only 10 weeks long and they run from September to the end of November. So mid-term I have 2 essays due, and at the end of term I have 2 essays due. So that is pretty much beginning of November, end of November, which is fun. So I had that as well as doing this, and just, it was stressful, because even though I think you have to write about 1,700 or 1,800 words a day to get 50,000 words in 30 days. So theoretically it's not that much. Like, I was doing word sprints of 50 minutes, and if I was doing well I could write 500 words, so in theory I could do that within an hour. So taking an hour out of your day is not a lot really, because you spend an hour watching Netflix anyway. But trying to think about it as well as do that, obviously those words don't always just come like off the tip of your fingers straight away in 15 minutes. It doesn't happen every single time. Most of the time it doesn't. So obviously it didn't take just an hour to do that every day. Some days I wrote 3,000 words, other days I wrote, I think my lowest day was like 79 words. So I definitely had to balance it out during days and have double days and less so days, because even though my goal was to write something every single day, I do think that really helps. So if you're going to do it, just try and write something every single day, even if it is just 79 words, because then you've got something on paper. And as a little incentive you get little like badges on the NaNoWriMo website if you set it up. So if you log in and say that you're doing NaNoWriMo and update your word count on there, they're just fake badges like online, like you don't get anything physical for them, but the competitive person I am, I wanted to get them. And then things like hitting 5,000 words and writing for 7 days straight or 28 days straight was one of them. So a little incentive for you there. That's what I liked anyway. So at the start it went okay. I think I stuck to the word count for the first 3 days, and then I realised I had no idea what I was doing, didn't like the storyline, had no idea where to go from there, so I completely scrapped it and started again. I am not someone who can pants a novel, and pantsers are people that can just write by the seat of their pants, so they literally just sit down, have a vague idea in their head and just go. And others are plotters and they plot everything out for it. And obviously you can get like, it's a line of where you are on that, I'm pretty sure, because I doubt everyone has completely everything lined out for them, and I doubt pantsers literally have no idea when they go in, so there is elements of both in each, but each their own. But I'm definitely not someone that can literally just have a vague idea in my head and just go. One, because I don't have the memory to memorise or to remember all my things in my head. It's not going to happen. Like, I'll be talking about something or discussing an idea with someone, then I'll go away for a week, come back and start doing it, and they'll be like, oh, but I thought you were going to put this in. I'll be like, oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. So definitely need to write things down for me. Definitely need to plan things out, otherwise I can't write it, because I'm not very good at just thinking of ideas off the bat. I have to work at my ideas, if that makes sense, which, I don't know. I'm sure everyone has to at some point. Definitely a plotter, and I definitely did not plot a lot for this book. So a lot of the times it would slow down my writing until I stopped and was like, you know what, I need to plan some more. So then I would spend that day planning instead of writing, and then the next few days I would write a lot more, and then it kind of went in those kind of cycles. That's kind of how it went for me. Obviously it was quite successful because I did complete it, but in retrospect, looking back now, I would not say that I produced a good piece of work. Obviously your first draft is never going to be a good piece of work, and it's not going to be something that you're proud of immediately, but it's not something that I feel the need to go back and improve or do anything more with it. I'm looking at that more as my practice novel than anything other than that. So I'm not going to try, and maybe I'll come back to the idea again, but if I did, I would just take elements of it and redo it completely differently, because I don't like the way I did it. I think it's quite narrowing the way I did it. There's lots of plot holes, there's like an endless amount of plot holes. It's just not worth my time, I don't think, to do it anymore. So what I learned from it was instead what I actually need to do in order to create a good novel. So things like character arcs or character relationships. I kind of planned vaguely, oh, these people will be friends, and then they won't be friends at this point. But I hadn't really put in enough time and effort to think, oh, in this chapter, they need to actually have conversation. You can't just say, oh, they'll be friends, and then 5 chapters later something bad happens and it have any emotional impact to that person or that character relationship. Because if they haven't built up that relationship as a good one or a solid relationship, when it dissolves, no one's gonna care. So that's the kind of thing I found out when I was doing it. Like, I had a friendship just exactly like that, where they were best friends and then they were going to have an argument and it was going to be upsetting for the main character, obviously, but when writing it, it had no emotional impact to the novel or no effect to it, because I hadn't built up that relationship enough beforehand. So things like that really helped me to learn how much I need to put into a novel with those kind of things, how much content needs to be in it to do with those things, and how to work it into the plot line a bit more. And it also gives you a lot more to write about, because that's what I found, like, a lot of the time was I would do a chapter and I'd be like, there's not enough in here, like, it's too short, it's like 1,000 words long, that's gonna be like 3 pages on a page. I don't actually know how many pages it'll be, but it's not long enough, and it just feels flat. So doing it and forcing myself to actually commit to writing something long enough where I could see the long-term effects of what I've been writing, that really helps. So if I just write a 10,000 word book and then I give up on it because I'm not feeling it, I won't see those long-term effects. So I won't see how that character development isn't good enough later on. I won't see that that plot line has a plot hole because I haven't finished it, or I haven't got far enough into it to see that, if that makes sense. I think I'm explaining it okay, but I don't know. So whilst I'm not ever going to look back at that book, or probably not, just the actual method of forcing myself to write every single day for 30 days or 28 days or however many days it was really helped just develop me as a writer and kind of see what I need to do as a writer and where my personal errors are when I create a story. because I have read and I've watched and I've researched so many websites and blogs and vlogs and everything about writing, about how to do the 3-act structure, how to create character arcs, how to do this and this and this. But until you actually do it yourself, you're not going to know how to actually implement it. Or I didn't anyway, maybe I'm just not clever enough to figure it out. But you're not going to know how to implement it into your own work, how to work those things into your own style, what you personally forget, what you're personally really good at, therefore the things that you need to work out to balance it, or what you need to focus on because you're good at that element. Those are the kind of things you're never going to figure out unless you've actually written something. So if you were at all a writer, I would say definitely give it a go. Even if you say NaNoWriMo, like November is a really busy month for you and you're never going to get it done in November, pick a month that's less busy. Say you're at school, do it in your summer holiday or your Easter holiday or something like that. Or say you're at work, do it over 2 months instead, so you have a little bit less pressure on the time scale, but you're still sticking to a deadline and you're still trying to get to that goal. If you're a goal-oriented person, obviously. If you're not a goal-oriented person and you think you can just write and not have something to esteem to or to strive for, just do it. Try not to give up on something too early on, because 1, you never know how it's going to end. 2, you can always go back and fix it. I know I said I'm not going to do that for that novel, but I could, and there are definitely elements of that novel that I will bring forth and use again in different ideas or combine with other ideas. So nothing you write is going to be useless. Even if you never use it again, you'll still learn from it as a process. So I don't really know what else to say. Let me check my notes. I think that's everything. I will hopefully be doing NaNoWriMo again next year, depending on obviously time differences and time scales and whether or not I have a novel ready for then, because I will definitely be planning a lot more for it. I do actually currently have a novel that I am super excited for, and I've been working on loads in the last few days. I've just got a wind for it and I've completely outlined it pretty much. There's just a few things I need to tweak for it and a few kind of world building things that I need to do for it instead, and then I'll be starting to write it. I won't be doing it in the NaNoWriMo time thing just because of the way uni is. It's becoming near the end of the year, but I do hope to start writing it. So either next NaNoWriMo I'll either hopefully be finishing that book or potentially doing like a second draft of it, or starting something completely new. Who knows? We shall see, because November is a very long time away, so we've got plenty of time to decide. So if you do fancy doing NaNoWriMo, do let me know, because I would be really cool to see who you are. And I think when NaNoWriMo comes around you can add friends on NaNoWriMo, so that would be really cool to like see everyone and talk about our books and talk about ideas, because books are definitely better when you can flesh out your ideas and someone can either say that's an amazing idea or that's a crap idea, because sometimes you can't see it when it's your own idea. Actually, to be fair, sometimes you can't accept it when it's your own idea as well. I need to work on that, because yeah, that's another thing I need to work on. So yeah, that's everything I have to say about NaNoWriMo. I do hope you'll join me on NaNoWriMo next year, or this year, and until then I shall see you in another video.